If you can sit on it, it's a chair. It's kind of like a hot dog is a sandwich. Is that the right analogy? Welcome to Dark Horse Workshop, everybody. Today, I am making a chair out of wood. Crazy, I know. Remember that you can get all kinds of medieval, fantasy, and Viking-inspired leathercraft patterns as well as Viking art on my website, link in the description down below. You can also get the same patterns and art on the month they're released on my Patreon, which is a crazy deal, also link in the description down below. And of course, a big shout out to both Thunder Laser and Filtrabox for making this project possible. Make sure you check the description of this video for any relative links to both of them, as well as any discount codes. Let's talk about the first mistake I made, which was probably just not using hardwood. Now, the pine turned out in the end, but pine has a lot of variation in the wood, which took a lot of extra finishing that I didn't need to do if I had just used some hardwood. Check out what the hardwood looks like. It was just a little test I did. So good. So just think about that, run some tests with what kind of wood you're going to be using for your chair if you are laser engraving it, and make that call if you want to use something cheaper or not, etc., etc. All my patterns and most of my art gets finalized in Illustrator, just part of my process. Your depth map doesn't need to be a vector in any way. In fact, it can't be. It needs to be imported into SculptOK as a PNG or JPEG. I will copy it, paste it into Photoshop, and save it as one or the other. SculptOK is really straightforward. Once imported, it will analyze your image and create your initial depth map. But it doesn't stop there. Within the software itself, you can do a whole bunch of little tweaks that will change the 3D depth map output that you get. I'm not an expert at SculptOK, but you just play around with all these settings here, and you'll see your image adjust on the fly in real time. And then you can save it as the appropriate file and bring it into Photoshop for a couple more tweaks before you bring it out into Lightburn. This chair started out 48 by 11 for both pieces. The bottom seat part was reduced a bit when I decided to test it and almost threw myself onto the floor. I wish I had video of that. I don't. The great thing about the Thunder Laser Bolt Pro 32, well, one of the great things, is it doesn't matter if it doesn't fit. You can just leave it open and then jury rig it with some kind of thing. My thing was a chair that I had lying around that was adjustable. So there you go. Science or something. I went to do my first test, and obviously it's not going to let you do a test. The door is open. But you can just go around to the side, open the hatch, and on the bottom there is a little button you hit, and that will ignore the open door. Now I've done my giant rectangle for no reason. I'll sand that out later. Well, the reason was because I wanted to line it up, but I could have been smarter about it. I could have just done the proper curved outline of the image. Whatever. Now when we get started here, another fail on my part right away. Make sure that you have your output set to grayscale. If you look over here, this part right here, that is not grayscale. It should be grayscale. Otherwise, it is not going to do the depth map properly. It's going to be absolute chaos. By that, I mean I don't know what it's going to do, but it's not going to do what it needs to do. Now, there are a ton of settings in Lightburn. There are two that are the most important. One is making sure your output is set to grayscale. We'll just ignore that I forgot to do that. No big deal. And then the second one is your power settings. You need to have your power set from 0 or 1 up to 50 and beyond, because then the grayscale of the image will translate to the power that the laser puts out. So if it is 1 to 50, 50 is going to be black, 1 is going to be white, and everything in between. So those are incredibly important. Lucky for me, I've got a Filtrabox Expand X2 with the door open, and me not being outside or anywhere near a window, it's important that I pull the fumes out, and without the seal, that smoke's going to start going everywhere if I don't have a lot of airflow in the machine. Now, I end up covering it with a little blanket here, which helps, but really didn't help anywhere near as much as having the door closed. So I just cranked the Filtrabox, and it took care of the rest. And now this is going to take a while. It took me 40 minutes per pass, 5 passes, And when it was done, the depth was pretty good. The great thing about the Bolt Pro 32 is that it's got tons of size, speed, and power. It's going to do it quickly, efficiently, and make it look great. I could have had this depth even better though if I had kept the background even darker in my image. It was a little lighter than even the hardwood test that I had done. So if I was going to do this again, I would say that background image after I have done my depth map probably should be darkened a bit more. Yeah, that's about all I would say to that. Lots of sanding. So much sanding that every single time I look at this video and edit it a little more, I edit out more sanding. And now, awkwardly using power tools 101 with Magnus, I break out the jigsaw I use very rarely, and all the other things I use very rarely to do woodworking, because I don't really do it very much. This was a little snug right away. Not a big deal. Take the jigsaw back to it, do a little sanding. Everything will slowly get exactly where I want it. The change that I made to this chair right away was I shortened the seat section. Not where you sit, but the overall length out the back of the chair. Because the longer that is, the more upright the chair will be, and the more chance of you spilling out of it if you're not careful. So on my first test that I didn't film, went forward really easily. It even went forward a little bit on my second check, but it was totally nowhere near as bad as it was. You got to expect it to move a little bit. So I'm okay with where it's at now with these measurements. And obviously these measurements have been changed in the final file if you want to use that file of mine, or search the internet for many other Viking bog chair style patterns that are out there. So go look around. More sanding. I think I did this all at 220 grit, and then I did a second pass a little smoother. Don't overthink it. It's sanding. Sand it, and if it feels good, then it's done. If you're like me but haven't done a ton of woodworking but want to spruce up your camp, this could be it. Grab some tools or your friend's tools, a little bit of lumber, make yourself some Viking bog chairs. So this was my second test, actually. I had taken it back and done another test. It moved a little bit, but before it moved a lot. People would have taken some headers out of that damn chair. I've been using this oil-stained dark walnut on stuff forever. Love it. Love the color. I don't usually put much of a finish on anything because it's in my shop. Like, all my stuff is that same stuff. You know what? If we could go back in time, I would take a smallish paintbrush and paint around all that knotwork instead of just staining over it and then sanding like a maniac. This is going to be outside. I've probably overthought it a bunch. I've used this. Probably way overthought everything, but it doesn't matter because it's a chair, I've made it, and it's mine. I kept it really easy. I made sure I let the stain dry for 24 hours, and then I did the Varathane and I let it dry for 24 hours with one side and the edges, and I made sure there was no drip or anything, and then I flipped it and did the other side. Remember that you can grab the pattern off my website for free, as well as the art. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future content. Go check out all the patterns and art over on my website. And until next time, keep on being creative in whatever it is you do.